There we go. Oh my goodness. Hello, hello. Let's see if we've got some. Oop. See, I thought I had it. Sound. And yep, we're good there. I don't know if you guys can hear me or not. I'm gonna be careful. Hi. I look like I've had a day. All right. I think we are good. Welcome, welcome. It has been one of those days today, that is for sure. Everybody else that was going back to work today probably had the same thing. Absolute mayhem. I think I saw it said that it was a dumpster fire with I don't know, earthquake or something. I don't know. I'm not sure how it goes, but that was definitely my day today. That is for sure what my day today was. No, it really wasn't that bad. It was just, I think I stayed on the phone pretty much the entire day consistently, and there was more phone calls coming in. And I'm like, I'm only one person. Yes, I do have two ears, but I can only do one phone call at a time. So it was a little bit crazy. But we did have a long weekend, so that kind of happens with that. And then when we came in this morning, we had our property management meeting, which our property management division is getting bigger and bigger. So that's awesome. But yeah, it's just this absolute mayhem this morning and just kind of went into this afternoon. So I was still typing away and still trying to get stuff off my to-do list up until 3 minutes ago. And then I was like, okay, time to run in here and do this. So hopefully your days weren't quite as crazy as all of that. Let's hope. But it has been actually pretty fun. The day flew by. I don't know what happened with that, but it was like 3 minutes in and it was already noon. I was like, wow, this is crazy. I don't know. What do you guys think? Is it better to have a really busy day and it just goes by really quick, or would you like it to be a little more manageable? Manageable is a good word. I would have gone for manageable today. But yeah, I just felt like, if I don't answer a phone call or if I don't get back to somebody immediately, I feel like I've let them down. So I hate that. I hate that feeling. It just nags on me. So yeah, not a huge fan of that. So as much as hard as I work and stuff, I'm just like, if I can't quite keep up, it's not a good feeling. It's not a good day. So, but it was busy and it was fast. So that was cool. Oh, what are we talking about tonight? We are going to be talking about rent to own homes. I saw somebody had a question on our channel about rent to home opportunities. And I kind of want to pick that apart because based on what the industry is doing right now, I think there's going to be a lot of rent to own home opportunities. And I really want to kind of go over that and really talk about what that really is and if it's a good option for you or not. For some people, it can be an excellent option. For other people, it's a terrible idea. And just to be warned, it's very predatory out there. So there's some things you need to watch out for. So we're going to be talking about that tonight. So hopefully you are ready to strap in and talk about, rent to own homes and also some of the scams that are out there even for rentals. I've noticed that Facebook, they've got a lot of scams going on. With rent to own, they offer that or just a rental, and it's not their house. They're renting out, maybe they're from like some other country or some other state, and they're just going online and picking out random houses that are maybe not even for rent, they're for sale, and they're just collecting your information. So you send over a rental application and it's got all of your information, including your kids' ages and everything, your IDs. I mean, you literally send everything with a rental application and they're just collecting that. Maybe even selling it on the dark web. It's kind of crazy. So you have to be really, really careful when you turn in a rental application. Then, of course, if you send in your security deposit or your first month's rent, you go to move in. I've literally had people show up to a house that I had an open house for sale, and they're coming in with their moving truck. And I'm like, what are you talking about? This house has never been for rent. They don't want to rent it out. They live here. What are you doing? And it was just that they had fallen for a scam. Absolutely a scam. It is the worst thing that you can do to somebody is mess with their home. It was just, and there was nothing, I mean, it had nothing to do with us. It had nothing to do with the actual homeowner. It was just, that's the particular address that they had put, and they collected some pictures from online and then they mixed it with some other pictures. So it said like it had a fireplace. I'm like, this house doesn't have a fireplace. I mean, it was just craziness. It was absolute craziness. The safest thing I can say is if it sounds too good to be true, it is. It absolutely is. And the best way to protect yourself is to go to a brick and mortar situation. So for us, for any real estate company, they have to have an office in the state of Florida. So if they are, they can't even be like a temporary office. Okay, it can't be like up on wheels or something. It has to be an actual office. So if you have any like if you're just not sure, you can actually check to see what the actual office phone number is, and you can call the main office for their main office line and be sure that it's not some scam. I have had people actually in years past, I had them actually take my name and switch it over. So like my email address would have been like Andrea@gmail.com or something. And they used that, they switched it somehow. And then they used that as the email address to contact. So when people looked into it and they're like, oh, well, there's, Andrea is the property manager, so this must be legit. No, it wasn't my email. I didn't know anything about it. So of course that got turned into the FBI. It was just messed up. It was just really, really Nike says that that's exactly what you want to know about. So glad you turned in this week. So yeah, we are actually going to be talking about rent to own scenarios and rental scams out there and how to protect yourself. Definitely look for a real estate office, because anybody that is licensed in the state of Florida, they have already done their criminal background checks and all sorts of, we actually have our fingerprints on record with the state in order to have a real estate license. So, there's going to be an actual brick and mortar type office, that's what they call a brick and mortar, but it's an actual office somewhere. They can't be like fly by night. They can't be like, something like an RV or something like that. And that's not going to work. Okay. It has to be an actual office. That is literally Florida law. So if you're actually wanting to see if these people are legit, they're going to say something like, oh, they own the home, but they're out of state right now. They're, taking care of a sick relative or something like that. Let's go ahead and get the process started. And, they'll come up with some excuse as to why they're out in another area that has nothing to do with the house. I have had them actually, one time I had somebody break into a house. It was a rental home. They broke into the house. They actually broke a window in the bathroom, got into the house in order to show the house so that they could sit there and collect application fees, and security deposits from people. Yep. Yeah, it was messed up. So, of course, the police got called on that one. We had to fix the window. It was just a mess. But what about rent to own homes? I did a whole bunch of research today on how best to explain it. Personally, I am not a fan of rent to own home scenarios, especially in this market. I'll go into explain why. There are some programs I do like, such as Home Partners of America, HPA. If you can find HPA or Home Partners of America, that is a good option for you for rent to own scenarios. You'll basically have a year to rent the home, live in the home, and there's an out clause, basically. I mean, it is a major company. Now, I say that, but it is not in Marion County. It's not in our area. They only go for major metropolitan areas. So they have like Orlando, Tampa, they do those areas, but HPA is not in our area. I've been waiting patiently for them to show up, but we're not really in their wheelhouse because we have wells and septics, and they don't want that. They want everybody on city water and sewer. They're very specific with what they're looking for. They don't do anything outside of the box. So yeah, that's if you're in an area and you hear about something called Home Partners of America, I have heard really great things about them. I have personally not done any deals because I can't. I would love to, but I can't. So look into Home Partners of America. That might be a good option for you, possibly, depending on what you need to do. Basically, they will go and buy the house. They're going to qualify you. And let's say you need maybe more work history, or you need to work on your credit just a little bit more, or something like that. Or maybe you just don't know the area. You're having a hard time finding a rental. You don't really want to commit, but at the same time, the house prices are down, so you want to lock it in. Okay, well, you can go ahead and purchase through Home Partners of America. They will buy the house cash, which also might get you a better deal on the house. And then you can rent from them for up to a year and then go ahead and purchase. Or at that time, if you decide to, vamoose, then you can go ahead and move out from that, and they'll sell the house to somebody else. So, there are some options with that one. So that one, it's not predatory. It's a very, very basic, simple system. But what is rent to own? When you say rent to own, what is it and how does it work? Basically, it's an agreement in which you rent a home for a specific period of time, such as for a year or 5 years or whatever, with the option of buying it. Typically, the agreement includes a non-refundable percentage of your monthly payments that go towards the down payment for when the lease expires. So you're paying your rent, and then you have this other amount that's set aside, and it's paying towards a down payment, which is great if you don't have a down payment. It kind of helps you. It's like enforced savings account. There is a lot of trust involved with this, okay? Because just because you're paying it doesn't mean that they are setting it aside for you as your down payment. Yeah. So, what if we'll get into it a little bit, but what if the owner goes ahead and decides to go ahead and sell to somebody else, and they sell it with your contract in place? Or what if they get a second mortgage on the house? They can do that. It's their house. You're a renter. You have an option to buy. You have an option contract. But that's not really protecting you very much. What are you going to do? Go to court with them? Okay, well, they're long gone. So where's your money? You have to be very, very, very careful who you do this with and for how much. Why? If it's so risky, not only for the buyer, but also for the seller, why would you do this? Well, a lot of people are doing it, again, like I said, because they're new to their jobs. Maybe they need a year or 2 years on the job and they've only got 6 months. Or maybe, they're new to the area and they don't really want to commit to that. Okay. Maybe they lack the down payment necessary to qualify for a mortgage. So they're going to go ahead and do that. Maybe they need to rebuild their credit after a debt settlement or maybe a bankruptcy or something like that. So maybe maybe their credit took a hit because of a divorce, and they know their credit's going to come back up, but they still got to live somewhere for now. Also, high student loan balances or medical bills. While that's not really something that you are, it's not like you have a whole bunch of credit cards that you're overspending. It's just life happened. I'm going to not get into student loans too much. I absolutely hate them. We told our son that we would disown him if he got a student loan in any way, shape, or form. We're like, no, because you want to talk about predatory. Whew. Oh my goodness. And so a lot of kids, because maybe they don't have that, let's say that education or that experience to know how incredibly devastating student loans can be to your lifelong financial future, they go ahead and apply for student loans. It's like it's constantly pushed at them, pushed at them, pushed at them. And then what happens, they graduate, they may not be able to get a high-paying job right away. Well, they're definitely not going to be able to get a high-paying job right away. And then they're stuck with all these student loans, and then the interest starts building and building and building, and they're basically stuck for life with maybe $50,000, $60,000, $70,000 in student loans. I've seen more than that. And no way to pay that off. So, are they stuck never getting a mortgage because their debt to income ratio is so far? They're going to have to go to something like a rent to own home situation or owner finance situation. So, that's where they're looking at, maybe somebody that's essentially higher risk For regular lenders, they can't go to a regular lender. But when you are at a higher risk and your options are limited, watch out for the sharks. Every single time, predators will just start circling around, blood in the water. They are just ready to go after somebody that don't have that many options because of, sometimes a situation that they can't even control. If you go into, I know somebody that was 22 years old and he had a heart attack, and all of a sudden he now has $90,000 in medical bills at 22 years old. How on earth are you going to try and get past that? That is going to mess with him for decades, possibly. Plus all the follow-up care and medical expenses down the road. So sometimes it's just, beyond your control, but you have a debt to income that is going to push you away from regular financial lenders, larger ones, like prime lending and guaranteed rate and Bank of America and Wells Fargo and all of these, bigger lenders. They have certain expectations for your income and your debt. So yeah, when you are higher risk for lenders, that means that there's going to be predators out there that are willing to take on that higher risk, but at the same time, at what cost? You got to be very, very, very careful. The issue that I see the most that drives me absolutely out of my mind is that people will self-deny themselves. They're like, oh, well, my credit score isn't that great. My credit isn't that great, so I can't get a mortgage right now. And they've never checked with a lender. They're so afraid of getting told no that they tell themselves no in advance. They're like, it's never going to happen. It's like, if you see a really hot guy or girl or whatever, and you're like, they'd never be interested in me. You might be exactly who they're interested in. Who are you to tell them who they're interested in? Stop self-denying. Get yourself some ego or something. I don't know. Go and find out for sure that you don't qualify, and find out why you don't qualify, because it might be something so small and so simple you can work through it in a couple of months. Please, before you decide that you are not good enough and your credit or your whatever isn't good enough, go hear that from the bank. I know it's scary and I know it's painful, but please go and talk to the lender first. Find out exactly what you can and cannot do, what you qualify for, what you need to do in order to qualify for it. Find out from them. Okay, don't decide for yourself. Everybody's so scared to death of being told no that they tell themselves no. It's like breaking up with somebody before they can break up with you. I don't know. It's crazy. Don't do that. Don't do that. Don't self-deny. Just because you decide that you can't get a mortgage, check with the lender and find out from them. And no, I am not talking about going to click online. Okay, no. I want you to actually go to like a local lender, somebody you can see face to face, and talk to them, because they'll tell you not just no, but why not? And they'll maybe even tell you what you need to do to change that and how much time frame in order to change that. Completely different conversation than just click online. Okay, denied. All right, well, moving on. It might be something so small and so simple. I saw one time I was sitting down with one of the lenders and one of my buyers. The buyer was absolutely terrified of going to the lender by herself. And the lender's like, oh, if you pay $124 off on this credit line and $62 off on this credit line, you should be good to go. And she's like, you're kidding. And she's like, no. She's like, well, I could do that right now. And yeah, that was it. That was all it was. It was just something so small and so simple that she could have easily taken care of. If she had gone straight to a rent to own scenario, it may have been thousands or tens of thousands of dollars that she could have lost out on. So kind of crazy. And yes, she did end up buying a house, and it was a nice little 4-bedroom. So it was really cool. Okay, so most rent to own agreements, they're going to fall into 2 categories. Okay, there's the lease option and a lease purchase. They're exactly what it sounds like. They're not hiding anything. So a lease option gives you the option to buy the home at a later date, but it carries no legal requirement or obligation to buy the home. A lease purchase is a commitment to buy at a mutually agreed upon time, a year from now, 5 years from now, 10 years from now, whatever. And if you back out, could result in legal proceedings. Okay. Keep in mind, depending on how the contract is written, it may say that you are supposed to buy the house, but you're not legally required to buy the house, and this money is set aside. But if you default in even any way, shape, or form, it all becomes rent and it's an eviction. So here you are, and I see this scenario happen all the time, all the time. Somebody goes in thinking they're buying a house. They didn't understand the contract at all. And it's one of those predators out there. And this predator has purchased the house for next to nothing, fixed it up good enough to get a buyer. This buyer comes in who is high risk because of whatever situation in their lives. They think they're getting one over on somebody because they don't have to go through a regular lender, and they're getting this huge opportunity. So they go and buy this house. Well, they miss one payment by 9 days or 10 days or 12 days or something like that. Somebody lost a job, somebody's car broke down, whatever. All of a sudden, that contract becomes just a regular rental lease. This lender, homeowner, whatever you want to call them, immediately files for eviction, and that person is out. Now they're without their down payment, which is normally a good $10,000, $20,000. They're out. That down payment is now gone to costs to fix up the property, or maybe legal costs or whatever. It's gone. It's long gone. Then they also have an eviction on their record. Do you know how hard it is to rent? Just to rent. It is far worse for them the second time around. And guess what happens with that homeowner, lender, whatever? They fix up the property and start back over again, looking for another high-risk individual to put in there. And they make their money over and over and over again, doing that over and over and over again. It is sad. It is very, very sad. I do not get involved with anything like that. I think that's a grand way to destroy people. That's destroying people's dreams, their hopes, their finances. It makes me sick. So not anything that I have anything to do with, nor any of my agents would have anything to do with. You want to do something like that, that's between you and it's between you and God. Knock yourself out, but leave me out of it. It's wrong as far as I'm concerned. Legally, not necessarily though. Read your contracts. Have an attorney, for crying out loud. This is so important to have an attorney. So important. It's expensive, maybe a few hundred, maybe a few thousand, but if it's going to save you tens or $20,000 down the road, so worth it. So incredibly worth it. Count the cost. Okay, so getting back into this, like I said, I made some notes. So we're going to look at when it's a good idea to purchase versus when it's a better idea to rent. There is something called the price to rent ratio. I don't know if you've ever heard of this before. It does require some math. Don't worry. It's basic calculator on your phone will do it. So follow along with me. All right. So all you have to do for your area is you take the median single family home price in the area where you want to buy, you divide it by your annual rental cost. If the number you come away from is less than 15, renting might be too expensive to justify. Renting might well be too expensive to justify. Okay, so in Ocala, the median home price right now is about $275,000. Okay, so the median monthly rent is $19,200 a year. Okay, so again, we're taking the annual, not the monthly. So monthly times 12, if that helps you. So let's say your regular rent is $1,600 a month, which is basically a 3-bedroom, 2-bath, double car garage, cookie cutter home right now. It's about $1,600 a month in our area. Rents are high. It would be a pretty close call right there. Okay, so because when you divide it, it ends up being 14.3. So it's right on the line. Okay. So it could make more sense to go ahead and buy, even though you're getting into, some different numbers or whatever. You can justify it. Okay. But in some areas, it's actually way cheaper to rent. So let's say the median rent in your area is $1,000 a month and the median home price is 300,000. See how it's different numbers? It's skewed. The price to rent ratio goes up to 25. So it's actually way, way, way better to just go ahead and continue renting in that scenario while saving for a down payment. It's not like you're giving up entirely on the whole purchasing a home idea. It's just you're going to want to go ahead and save for a down payment because the rent is so much lower than the purchasing. It's just a better scenario for you. So again, price to rent ratio requires that the median single family home price in your area, I don't know what your area is, where you want to buy, you go ahead and divide it by your annual rental cost. If the number you come away from is less than 15, renting may well be too expensive to justify. Got it? All right. Rent to own pros. Are there any pros to renting to own? Yes. Yes, there are. I wish I could say no, but can you tell I'm a little like, oh, don't do it. Don't do it. And it is justified. My grandparents did it and they made a killing off of it. Okay. So at some points it is justified to do it. It is a good option. There are pros to it. Especially if you can't qualify for a mortgage. If an actual lender has actually verbally told you or put it in writing, whatever, that you can't qualify for a mortgage now or for quite some time, maybe because of a bankruptcy or something like that, or a foreclosure. Again, if you're going through a divorce, foreclosures happen, things happen. Okay, life happens. Murphy's Law, life happens. Okay, if something like that is going on and it's just not in the cards for you, and you're in one of those places where the rent is skyrocketing higher and higher, and it's just going to be astronomical to rent, but it's actually pretty inexpensive to purchase, which is right where we're at, is right on the borderline, then maybe you should go ahead and consider that rent to own possibility. Maybe it just means that you need some time. You just need to buy yourself some time and you just don't want to put it all towards rent. Maybe you're building equity in a home that you might not otherwise be able to afford to purchase. And it also gets you into the house to buy, and it costs you it saves you the hassle and cost of another move. So if you are renting right now and you're going to be purchasing the house, instead of having to rent and then move to the house you're purchasing, you're already there. You're already there. Which is why I like that Home Partners of America plan, because you're already in the house and it buys you about a year. But again, be very, very, very careful because it is very, very, very dangerous situations out there. Basically, it's just consider renting to own as gaining some breathing room before you actually purchase the home. Okay. It's maybe just necessary to rebuild some bad credit. You can do that in most cases within a year. Okay. If you're working at it, you will get there. Maybe it's just that you want to qualify for a lower interest rate. So maybe you could go ahead and purchase right now, but the interest rate is kind of high. So you want to buy yourself some time and maybe take advantage of building up your credit so you can get a lower interest rate down the road. Okay, fine. Another benefit is you can lock in the price while a portion of your rent is going towards the purchase of the home. So it kind of takes a little bit of the anxiety out of buying. If you're in a lease option agreement as opposed to a lease purchase agreement, renting to own will allow you to take stock of the home, the neighborhood, all of that. Also, you can save for a down payment. It's basically going to allow you to get to know the area and the home, especially if you're coming down from another area and you just don't know where. I mean, Marion County alone is massive. It's absolutely massive. You can drive for an hour with no traffic and you're still in Marion County. No problem. It's just a huge, huge, huge area. So if you're just not really sure where you want to be, you're not quite positive, you think you want to be here, but you're not absolutely sure, this might be an option for you. And then, of course, did I mention locking in the price? It is worth repeating, especially if the home's in an area where the prices are steadily increasing in previous years. But it works both ways. And that's what you really need to look at right now, is because the prices are coming down and you're going to be locked in at that higher price. So just keep it in mind, because prices are going down right now, you're going to be held at the current market price. So a year from now or 2 years from now, maybe the house drops another 10, 20%. You're on the hook for that other portion. It's not like you'd be like, well, no, you're on that for that price. You come to an agreement the day of, not later. All right. So what are the cons? I think I've already mentioned quite a few, but let's go over them. You're going to have higher rent. Not a question. Because in addition to paying the upfront option fee, which is anywhere from 1% to 5%, the homeowner might insist on a monthly rental that is 10 to 15% higher than the market average, since a portion of the rental is going towards your down payment. It's not like they're doing it out of the goodness of their heart, okay? They are going to get their money, and that money that is basically an enforced savings account towards your down payment, that is not theirs. So they're going to just sock that away, or if they're doing it correctly, they're just going to sock that away for you. Maintenance costs. Some agreements ask the potential home buyer to pay for some of the maintenance costs, like anything under $500 or something like that. While the homeowner agrees to pay for the maintenance costs above that line. So be careful, because this is open to negotiations. Be really, really careful what you decide to do with this, because you could be on the hook to pay for a roof right away. Yeah. So be very, very careful. Again, read the contract. Who's paying the taxes? Is it you or is it the homeowner? Because they are still owning the home until you actually, sign on the dotted line. Yeah. But some contracts require for you to pay the taxes, the insurance, basically the same as if you're buying the home, but you're not quite owning the home yet. It's really, really weird the way it's written out. So just be very, very careful as to what you're signing up for. Everything is open to negotiation. In a rent-to-own agreement, you could lose not only what you paid for up front and the monthly percentage that's been going towards your down payment, but basically any kind of deposit that you've put down on the house, anything like that, it can be gone. And we're not talking a few thousand. Sometimes it's tens of thousands of dollars. Be very careful. Okay. You also have an obligation to buy in some situations. You could lose more than money already if the agreement is a lease purchase instead of a lease option. If you fail to meet the obligations perfectly that are outlined in a lease purchase, it could leave you with some really costly legal proceedings. Not to mention an eviction possibly on your record, which is public record in Florida. Yeah, it is very, very easy to find out if somebody has an eviction in Florida. We all like to know each other's business so much, it's ridiculous. Also, if the homeowner, let's say you're paying your rent plus some, or the mortgage or whatever you've got going on with the homeowner, what if the homeowner doesn't pay their mortgage? If the bank calls in a foreclosure, you lose everything. Okay, the bank does not recognize your contract in any way, shape, or form. Okay, so they will literally treat you as a tenant and toss out an eviction. It's gone. If you want to recoup your money, you have to go after that homeowner, not the bank. Bank has nothing to do with it. So be very, very careful. Make sure through the attorney that there's some way that you can verify that homeowner is actually paying their mortgage. Also, make sure that they cannot get a second mortgage while you're in there. What if they default on that? Well, you can still go through a foreclosure, but it's not your foreclosure. You just get an eviction because, again, they're going to look at you as a tenant or a resident or maybe even a squatter. They don't care. They don't. So be very, very, very careful with that. Let's see. You are also locked in a purchase price. It's really an advantage if the housing market is going up because you get to lock in that lower price. But in our market right now, it's going down. We've gone about 10% lower. I know in other areas, it's gone like South Florida. Whoo, it dropped almost overnight, crazy percentages, like 30, 35. I don't know. It was craziness. We haven't. We've only done about 10%. It's still a very sought after area to move to with all the jobs and everything coming in here. So, and we still have that housing shortage that we've just not really come out of yet. So Despite the fact that we are building like crazy still, we still have a housing shortage. So yeah, we haven't really dropped that much, but we still have dropped. It's not going up, that's for sure. So you're stuck at the rate. So let's say a year from now, maybe it drops another 10%. You're stuck at the 10% higher, if that makes sense. All right. Let's see what else. Okay, so I already kind of mentioned that if you are considering doing this, get an attorney. Please, please, please get an attorney. These contracts, the way it's written in our laws is that they're supposed to benefit both parties. Again, some of them are very knowledgeable, they're very predatory, and they will take advantage of the fact that you don't know what you're doing. Get an attorney to review the contract for you, to make other terms. Everything is a negotiation, okay? If the homeowner is not willing to negotiate with you, don't do this. Do not do this deal because they are setting you up to fail. They know that life happens, okay? Just don't do it. Don't do it. Both sides should be very carefully negotiated. Deal with very specific items that are, basically an advantage to both parties. Okay. If it's a disadvantage for you the whole way through, that's a terrible contract. Don't sign that. That's terrible. But yeah, sometimes a rent to own scenario is the best thing for you. If you got a whole bunch of medical bills, you're not going to necessarily qualify for a mortgage. Most likely, again, find out from a lender first. Have them verbally tell you what exactly needs to happen in order for you to qualify. If it's going to be a few years before you can qualify for a mortgage, okay, then yeah, look to rent to own. If it's, if that percentage is accurate, if your ratios are correct. So for ours, it's right on the line. It might be in your best interest just to stay renting for a couple more years. Are you going to have to do a double move? Are you going to have to, what exactly is your specific situation? And also, what are the situations for the rent to owns out there? For us, they're not quite in our area yet. So, it's not really a question right now. We haven't really seen them come back to the market yet because, again, it hasn't dropped down enough, but they're coming. Okay, so you're going to start seeing those more and more where there's owner financing. Right now, we have it a lot with land. If you want to buy some vacant land, there's owner financing galore for that. But an actual home, it's coming back. It's coming back. It'll always come back in. Make sure that you have an attorney. I cannot say that enough when you're going through this. Also, get a home inspection. Everybody wants to skip over that because they're like, oh, I'll be just living there. No, get a home inspection, especially if you're assuming some of the maintenance costs during the rent to own period, just for peace of mind. Make sure that it's not going to, what if you move into it and you've been paying just fine and you're only supposed to pay up to $500, but it needs a whole new roof. It starts leaking like crazy. And the homeowner is like, I don't have the funds for that. What are you going to do? What are you going to do? That is a scenario that is actually possibly going to happen. So just check into it. Check to make sure the home is going to have some good bones. Meet with your lender. Make sure that you are set to do a mortgage. Now, when you go to do the owner financing or lease option or lease purchase or anything like that, you need to figure out an out clause because sometimes the homeowner has written it, especially with owner financing, they're going to write it so that you can't you can't pay early. So, for example, my grandparents years ago purchased a house, and not like 20, 30 years ago, but we're talking, maybe like 15 to 20. Anyway, so they purchased a house that was in terrible shape, needed a roof, needed the pool resurfaced. It was absolute shambles inside. They had opted to do owner financing for, whatever reasons, and they got it for $40,000. Okay, it was a 2-bedroom, 1 bath. They did major home renovations on this house. Major. I think they were paying 9% interest, which was absolutely astronomical in comparison to what the market was at the time. If you look in the market 15 years ago, 9% was like absolutely insane. So you have to look at those, and they went ahead and paid it off early. Well, the homeowner was livid because he was counting on that 9% for X amount of years. And so he sold the house for less in order to make money on the interest. Well, that's all well and good, but my grandma was a real estate broker and she made sure that there was no penalty for paying it off early. So, yeah, she was able to do that. And yeah, of course, after they fixed up the house and everything, they were able to sell it. I think it was close to 300,000, and that was within 2 years. So, yeah, absolutely awesome to do that, especially if you're living in the house and fixing it up at the time. If you're there for over 2 years, that's not income. That's you selling your own home. So, yeah, that goes into the capital gains and stuff. Very clever thing to do. So, if you're like my grandparents used to do, move into a home that was absolute shambles, fix it up, live in it, fix it up for a couple of years, maybe 2, 3 years, however long it takes to do this, and then sell it for the market price and move on and do it over and over and over again. So there are options to do that. But again, if she had not been able to pay it off early, or if she had a penalty for that, that would have eaten into a lot of the money that they made on the house. So stuff like that, be very, very careful. Are you able to switch it over to a regular mortgage once you qualify? Maybe you qualify after a year and a half. Is it required that you switch it over to a regular mortgage lender after a certain amount of time? If it's required and you still don't qualify for a mortgage, you are in default, and that could be equally as bad. Check the contract, okay? Check it with an attorney. Get that home inspection. Meet with the lender. It's again, see what you need to do, not just to qualify now, but later. Ask for a seller's disclosure. Find out exactly what's going on with that house. They are supposed to disclose to you by law. So you should know as much about the property, the title, everything as you possibly can. Basically, check into alternatives. Okay. All that being said, check into alternatives for rent to own scenarios. Rent to own is higher risk for the investor. So they are going to, I say take advantage, but that's what it feels like to me. Is it an option? Is it a good option? It may be if you know what you're doing and you go in eyes wide open, you have yourself protected with home inspections, lenders, an attorney, all of these things. The problem is most people don't do that. They don't. They go into it going, I don't qualify for a mortgage, I don't think. So I'm just going to go ahead and get rent to own. And then I'll be able to own a house without having to deal with a lender and being told no, because that could be embarrassing. So I'm just going to go ahead and sign this and it sounds great. And, every one of my payments is going to be going towards my down payment. So I'm building equity. That sounds really good. But the truth of the matter is the contracts are not going to be written in your favor. If you just go into it with your eyes closed going, this sounds like it'll probably be a good idea. No, it's not a good idea. Look for alternatives. Look at the numbers. Check and see what it's actually going to cost you to go with a regular lender first. Everybody that tries to get a bigger, better deal or tries to go around the way things are, or instead of doing the hard work and fixing that credit or whatever, they're like, oh, I'm just going to do it this way because it'll be great. I'm smarter. I'm smarter than this. I'm going to go ahead and do it this way. You will get taken advantage of. Okay. These people are brilliant at what they do. They do it over and over and over and over again. And it can cost you a lot of time, money, heartache. You'll have evictions or court cases on your record. This is not a good plan. This is not a good plan. Make sure of what you're doing. For my grandparents, it was a fantastic scenario. Absolutely fantastic. But again, they did not do it with their eyes closed. They knew exactly what they were doing going in. And they were able to, but they had years and years of experience doing it too. And I promise you, over the years, at some point, they definitely had some lemons. Okay. They did not win all the time. So just be very, 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 very careful. And that's the true of any real estate transaction. But especially when you're getting into owner financing, just be careful because there's so many pitfalls. There's so many things that can get you up. Yeah, I would look into FHA, I would look into VA, I would look into USDA. I love USDA. That's my personal favorite. It's not all the lenders, but it's my personal favorite. I think it is an amazing opportunity. I know you guys are like, oh, that's a thing that was written on the beef, right? No, the USDA Rural Development, it is the U.S. Department of Agriculture. They actually have a loan, which is zero down payment, and it's for rural areas. And pretty much all of Marion County, aside from within the city limits of Ocala, which is a very small portion of Marion County, all of it qualifies. Citrus County and Levy County, I believe the entire counties qualify. So we have a huge, massive area that qualifies for USDA financing. And again, did I mention zero down payment? Why would you go to do a owner finance and pay $10,000 or $20,000 down and pay like crazy amounts in interest rate when you could just a little bit of tweaking and you can go ahead and qualify for USDA? And you could get down payment assistance programs, which is like $10,000, $20,000, $25,000 towards your closing costs and down payment. Do that. Do that. Okay. Those don't qualify for owner financing in most scenarios. I've never actually heard of it actually being done for an owner financing scenario. So, just, yeah, do that. So, questions, comments, or concerns on that one? That was a really long clip. I'm going to have to try and lower that down a little bit. I got a little carried away. Sorry about that. Can you feel how much I really am? What is the income requirement for USDA? Off the top of my head, I have no idea, because those things change all the time. So I would have to look it up, which you can do. We're going to do it really super easy. I'm going to go over to Google right this second and go USDA eligibility right there. And it's not the first one. I believe it is USDA.gov. It's www.rd, so residential development, so rd.usda.gov. And it's a single family housing guaranteed loan program. I would not recommend going through the website in order to actually see if you can get a loan. It's a pain in the butt. Even if you got approved through the thing, I would not do. I would go through a regular loan officer, any one of them in our area. Do USDA loans all the time. They will also be able to tell you, based off what they pull, if it's actually better for you to do a different loan option. So even though you qualify for USDA, they might be like, hey, that's awesome, but there's also this, and then you can do this, and then you can do this, and that's going to be better in the long run for you. What do you think? So having that expert hold your hand and be like, this is what you can do. Here are the many options available to you. That's huge. That is absolutely huge. So please take advantage of that. It doesn't cost anything to go in and talk to them. Go in and talk to them. They don't care. They don't mind at all. It's great. So what about USDA Direct? I would not do USDA Direct. I would just go through a regular loan. I see that there are two types. Yeah, USDA Direct, I believe, is going straight through the USDA.gov. It's the government that you're doing that through then. And I saw one loan take 7 months to go through. I don't recommend it. It should only take about 45 days. It does take a little bit longer when you have FHA, VA, or USDA, all the acronyms. But it should only take 45 days. So 7 months if you go through the government, 45 days if you go through a loan officer. Which one you gonna do? You know, it's I wouldn't. But if you went through a lending, like an actual lending professional that you trust, and they said you can't hit those requirements, they should have also given you other options and said, okay, here are the options that you can do. Here's a down payment assistance program that will help you out. Here's this, that, or the other. So if you need the phone number of somebody that will actually do that for you, I will get you their phone number. There are some fantastic lenders that I work with. Debbie across the street over at Prime Lending, she'll do that for you without a problem. Deanna next door, she's over at Guaranteed Rate. We love working with either one of those companies. And there's a lot of other people that I've worked with over the years that I mean, just I could give you lists upon lists of people that will absolutely do that. They will hold your hand and walk you through it. If you have a lender that doesn't give you the time of day, that is not the lender for you. That they should not get any part of it. No. Oh, good. Okay, so you're doing Hometown Hero. Awesome. Keep in mind, Hometown Hero is great, but there is another option that's better. Talk to your lender about the other option because you might be able to get more money and it's a lot less, and you won't have to pay back either. Hometown Hero, you may have to pay that back. So just keep it in mind. Just keep it in mind. Just saying, I'm not a lender. I'm not a LO, lending officer, loan officer, whatever. I am just a real estate broker. So I'm just telling you what I've seen in my experience. The other option is actually through, I believe, the state of Florida. And it's $10,000. But keep in mind, the $25,000 that they keep promoting on Hometown Heroes is not actually $25,000. It's up to $25,000. So you're I gotta think. And there's also the Chionov, whatever it is. There's a few different options in there actually. So checking, I want to say CHEONOV. I don't know. Anyway, anytime we look as realtors, when we pull up a house address, we can go into MLS and click one simple button and it will pull up every single down payment assistance program that house qualifies for. Every single one. So any kind, and there's some of them that I've never even heard of before. I'm like, what on earth is that? Well, it's $5,000 that you can just get. There's also a SHIP program here in Ocala. SHIP with a P, not anything else. That program is through the city of Ocala. That one, I think that one's a little bit tight on its income restrictions. So I'm not really thrilled with that one right now. But we've helped a lot of buyers purchase their home using that program, that down payment assistance program. I think it's a really good program. I think just because the house prices rocketed up so much and the interest rates rocketed up and people's income actually went up finally, just because of all of those, it's just the program needs to, it needs to move up a little too. So yeah, a little different. Any grants? Yes, there are. Like I said, are you going into, I believe the state of Florida one is a grant. So I would check into that one. And I believe the SHIP one, you have to own the house for a certain amount of years and then it becomes a grant. It's actually something you have to pay back if you sell the house within a few years. And it's, sliding scale. So however many years you have that's how much percentage you pay back or whatever. But at the end, if you have, I think it's if you've owned the house for 10 years, I'm going to have to review that again. Not a loan officer. So I don't have to keep track of all that stuff. All I say is, okay, here's, the grants and stuff available, down payment assistance programs available, and there's the lender. So I don't deal with the money part. I deal with the pretty houses part. But yes, there are absolutely grants available. And I do know that we can give you the information on but it's by house. It's not like I can go, okay, here's everything that qualifies for everything. That's not how it works. Because like even USDA, if a house is within the city limits, it's not going to be on the list because it doesn't qualify. You have to be in the county, not the city. It's not on the eligibility map. So each one of the addresses, it goes by addresses as to what you can qualify for. Hometown Heroes, you can qualify for the Florida grant. You can qualify for SHIP, the Chinov, whatever it is. And then there's a whole slew of them. I mean, I'll click an address and 25 different grants and down payment assistance programs will pop up. No kidding, on one address. So for me to know all of those, no, but I can give you the list. So if you're looking at some houses, I can be like, okay, here's all of them for this one. Here's all of them for this one. And what's crazy is it actually has the little button you can click to apply or to get more information. It'll have the phone number and everything right there. It's all right there for you. It's crazy. Any realtor should be able to do that. It is one button. It is not difficult. So yeah, I would definitely look at it. I ooh, what part of 2023? So Millie asked, I know you're a realtor, but what is your honest outlook of home prices of new construction for 2023? I am doing my research and I am watching what the Fed is doing. That's good because I don't even know the Fed knows what the Fed is doing. The CPI report. My time to buy is next year around quarter two. Okay. And I'm looking at new construction. Um, New construction right now, and the reason I'm curious about it is because new construction right now is still moving forward. They're still building, they're still doing everything. What they've done is they've gotten some down payment assistance programs of their own. Basically, they're like, hey, you buy this house of this that we just dropped drastically on the price. If you buy this house, we're going to give you $10,000 in closing costs, and we're going to give you $5,000 in bonus, which the bonus could be closing costs, cash at close, or it could be to buy down points. I would use it to buy down points personally, but whatever. So yeah, Marion Oaks, all of them, they are building and building, building. All of these houses are going into construction. They're being finished. They're moving forward with that. They have not really slowed down with construction yet because Ocala, again, we still have people moving here every single day and we still have jobs coming through. We're still moving forward. Okay. We've only dropped about 10% on our sales prices. Okay. So that being said, going into, like January, February, first quarter, I don't think there's going to be that much of a change or that much of a difference. Now, if sales continue slowing down, what are the new construction going to do? They're going to stop or they're going to slow down on what they're doing. So if they stop or slow down, you're not going to have those incentives that you have right now. Right now, they're just trying, they've got all these employees. They think the market's going to continue. They're betting on the fact that this is just kind of a dip and they're continuing the way they're going. But if it continues month after month after month after month, it's set a whole new precedence. And now they're going to slow down on their construction. And if they slow down and they start doing layoffs and they really slow down on what they're doing, they're not going to do those incentives because they can keep with the market. So right now we're seeing some really, really good deals. Will that continue into the second quarter here in Ocala? I don't know for sure. It really, really, really depends on those construction companies and their finances and how much they're actually selling and what they can hold over and what their outlook is, truthfully. So we'll see. But going into the first quarter of 2023, I think we're still going to see a lot more of those incentives and those lower prices. So kind of excited for that. Don't know how long into 2023 that's going to last, though. It really just depends on what happens in 2023. So yeah, so hard. All right. Oh my goodness, I've missed a whole bunch. Good rent to own programs. We're moving end of May. Home Partners of America, but it is not available in Ocala. Another one that I've heard of is Divvy, Divvy. They go as far as Citrus County because they consider Citrus County to be a portion of Tampa Metro. I don't know why. That does not make sense to me. So, so you can get up to the border of Marion County, but not into Marion County. Citrus County is part of that area. So Divvy does it, but again, it's for about a year. I believe Divvy is a little bit more expensive to go through their program than Home Partners of America. Again, I have not done either of them because they're not really in our area. But from the realtors that I had talked to on a weekly basis throughout the entire country, they've all raved about Home Partners of America. They said it's a really great program. Other programs like it also equally, they love those. So I would say look into that one. That goes as close to us as Lake County, but it does not go into Marion County. Also, it will not work on a house if you're doing well and septic. They don't do that. So it's a very specific house that they're looking for because they're banking on the fact that they may end up owning that house and having to resell it. Also, they may have to take care of all maintenance while you're a tenant of the property and they don't want to drill a new well. So just a heads up on that. It's very, very specific. I like them building. I want inventory to go up. Months of supply is slowly going up. I know, right? Whew. It's great news for us. I greatly appreciate it, but it's not so great for the new construction. The construction companies, the home construction companies, they're feeling the pinch. They're feeling the pinch. They were making pretty good money hand over fist there for a while. So I did actually, I printed this out. I don't know if you can see, but these are the median house prices, original price versus sold price month after month in 2022. I just thought it was fascinating. I just stumbled across it. I was looking for something else and I was like, oh, that's interesting. But in January of this year, the house price, median house price was 269,000. The sale price was 245. I was sitting here thinking, oh, it's going to be way over. And it really wasn't. It really wasn't. It was pretty darn close. So yeah, what's really interesting is when it gets closer to where we are now. Let's see, in June, the original listed price, median price was 300,000. The sale price median was 275,000. Isn't that interesting? Currently, what we're seeing, again, July was 305 was listed. August 289. That's when we started coming down. September, it went up to 299. So October 299, November 299. These are the original prices. But the sale price, the actual price they sold at, has continued to go down. So in July, it was 279 actual sold price. August 264. September 265. It was like a $5 difference month over month. That's funny. October 272 and November 262. So what's funny is the original list price, median price for Marion County for residential listings was $299. Even this month, $299,000. But the actual sales price, once they got done with their negotiations and closed on it, was $262,500. Kind of interesting, right? So I just thought that was fascinating. It was like, wow, so these sellers have not really gotten the memo. When they put their house up for sale, they're like, I'm going to put it up to January, February, March prices. And then it sits on the market and it sits on the market and they're like, okay, this is going to have to come down. And they, bring it back down until they can actually get it under contract. And that is a considerable difference to go from 299,000 is what they hoped for and put it up on the market as, and then to actually close at 262,500. That's a difference. So even though you're seeing these houses hit the market at a list price, that is not the price you're necessarily going to get the house for. It's going to be lower than that. So really good time to negotiate. You can negotiate your heart out right now because you'll probably get what you're asking for. Just a heads up on that. All right. Oh my goodness. What am I missing on my questions? Wages don't match. Oh, yeah, that's true. How difficult is it to qualify to rent one of the homes that your company manages? What are the basic requirements? That's a really good question. I hate to tell you this, but pretty much if you could rent from us, you could get a mortgage. So I don't think most of our tenants understand that. When they come to us and they do an application, they could qualify. It actually might even be easier to qualify for a mortgage because for a mortgage, some of the mortgages out there, you only need a 580 credit score. That is not what we look for. We look for over 600. So yeah, no, it surprises me how many people are still willing to rent without even attempting to get a mortgage, because mortgages, especially like right now, you can get some incentives. There's some really great incentives that even the lending companies, because their numbers are down in the last quarter of the year, you can get some fantastic incentives through the companies as well. So they're like waiving fees like crazy. So for me personally, I would say try to purchase if you can. It's a good time for it. I know the interest rates are high, but again, if you're using incentives, if you can get $10,000, $20,000 off the price of a house and apply that towards your points, you could probably get a pretty good interest rate. So I don't know. But again, if you're new to the area, you are not, sure where exactly you're going to go. You're not sure if you're going to stay in Ocala. Okay, well, renting obviously makes more sense then. So go ahead and rent. We rent out houses every day, all day, because people are in a situation where they need to rent. Sometimes you just have to. So, do that. Absolutely do that. If you have a whole bunch of medical bills or student loans, we don't really care about that. So it's a little different because a mortgage company is definitely going to care about that. So it really just depends. It really just depends. I'm slacking on my reading. Okay. There are price cuts, but the homes are way overpriced. Price per square foot 2 years ago. Okay, honey, 2 years ago. It's not 2 years ago. You didn't buy the house 2 years ago. You have to do now what we have now. We cannot. Man, I would have bought a heck of a lot more houses in 2010. It's you can't go by what has happened or compare the prices now to then. We're not in then anymore. You can try and guess what's going to happen next and proceed accordingly, but what if you're wrong? You have to decide for yourself personally right now if you can afford to purchase a home. Is it better to purchase a home or to continue renting? By far, it is better to purchase the home. What deal you get depends a lot on if it's going to be new construction. It depends on what you're looking for, what your finances are, what your goals are. It really just depends. But you cannot make a decision based off of what happened 2 years ago or what happened 5 years ago or what happened 10 years ago. That time is gone. That's in the past. It's gone. We learn from the past, but we don't live in the past. Today is today. There are a heck of a lot of sellers out there that are losing a heck of a lot of time and money, because time is money in real estate, especially because they're living even 6 months ago. That time is gone. So for now, is the house going to work for you? Is it in your budget? Will it be better than renting? Which, by the way, you're still paying a mortgage. You're just paying somebody else's. I know that's so cliche, but it's totally true. Go for that. Go for that. You're going down. It may happen. It may happen. It absolutely might. We don't know. But what if you're wrong? What if it goes back up? What if it goes way higher up? Inflation doesn't stop. It keeps going. So yeah, figure out what you need to do for your family and for yourself. And don't stress on trying to play the market. Okay. Do not gamble. It's not, the house always wins. Okay. You're not going to figure out if now is a good time to buy or if now is a good time to rent based on your situation, your personal situation, not what everybody else is saying or what they'll all tell you, whatever under the sun. And, again, I'm a realtor, absolutely, but I'm also a property manager. I make more money off of people that rent, not buy, because that cycles and cycles and cycles. Okay. If I do a for sale, that's a one-time hit. I sell the house, make a commission and move on. When you buy or when you rent, I make it when you rent, I make it every month that you're renting. And when you move out, I do the whole thing over again. So which do you think? Some of these houses I've had in management for over 10 years. Which do you think I've made more money on? So when I say purchase a house, it is not to my benefit. It is to yours. Okay, I don't care either way. Whatever you choose to do, I'm not going to be mad. It's not my life. No judgment. You can tell me that you've maxed out all your credit cards. I have $100,000 in student loan. I don't care. It's not my money. That I will say, I will help you. I will walk with you and I will try to help you get out of this mess, but no judgment, because I've done so many mistakes, especially with finances. I used to drive my landlord back in the day. I used to drive him absolutely out of his mind because I was so worried about being late on the rent. I would pay a month forward. Well, come to find out, he got so confused. He hated it. And he was just like, he was about to give me a non-renewal at that point because he was just having such a hard time trying to figure out he hated it. And I thought I was doing a good thing. The stuff that I was doing was not, paying off a car early. I thought that was a great idea. No, that actually hit my credit. Stuff I've done crazy stuff, even, really crazy stuff. I thought that I needed to, when I first became a realtor, I thought that I needed to have realtor clothes. Obviously, I've learned since then. But yeah, so I went out and bought a whole bunch of business suits and stuff and then didn't pay the credit card. I was young. I was really stupid. So I learned a lot from that. So, just I've done stupid. There's no judgment whatsoever. But I also have seen so much. I see so much on a daily basis because I look at rental applications all day long. I look at rental applications and I see what people are doing and the decisions they're making. And it's like, I don't know how I can help you. So just take it with a grain of salt. But I would still say, no matter what, especially right now with rents being so sky high, I would say, please, please, if you're able to purchase a house, please purchase a house. Hold on, I'm okay. I had to make sure I was plugged in. I was like, woo, I got the 10%. You're about out of juice. Okay. The people moving here that drive the prices up. Yes. Yes. It's a lot that yeah, the end result is yes, that is true. Um, how that happened, why that happened, the million things that occurred, including a global pandemic, and how that affected us. We didn't know at the time. We weren't sure if we were going to be really going through another horrible recession and it was going to be 2008 all over again. We didn't know. Like, okay, it's the end of the world, as you know. I mean, we had no idea. Being Florida became like the mecca for everybody. I mean, how weird is that? Nobody saw that one coming. Okay. um, so yeah, it was a lot of stuff all at once. I can't say it's like, okay, everybody wanted to move here and that's what drove the prices up. Yes, that is definitely a huge percentage of it. But why did they all want to move here? Because we have different laws and different mentality, which some people make fun of. I know, Florida man jokes like you wouldn't believe. But yeah, we live in Palm Beach and we haven't been to Marion Oaks, but it's where we might purchase or rent. We're a little scared due to the interest. Makes sense. I would be a little scared of the interest as well. But again, there are options. There are definitely options, especially with the new construction. All it takes is one builder to price cut to a reasonable amount, and then I feel others will have to follow or be left out. Yeah, what they're actually going to do is stop building. And then what happens is they have less houses to offer, and it's basic supply and demand. If you have too much supply and not enough demand, you cut supply. And that is what I'm thinking we're going to see in 2023 if our numbers don't change. They're just going to stop building. And then you're going to have a bunch of resale houses. But if you want new construction, that's not going to be a possibility for you because it will still remain the same price. They're not the price of wood, the price of concrete block, that remains the same. The price of labor, the price of gas to deliver, all of that stuff is stuff they have to pay for and take into consideration. If it's not worth it for them to build a house with all of the liability and the lawsuits that comes with it, the insurance, the employees, the mayhem, if they can't make a profit, a percentage that they are happy with, they will not build a house. That's just what happens. So yes, if one starts price cutting, normally you'll see that with the smaller builders more so than the larger ones. You'll see them start price cutting because they need to get the houses. They have a lot riding on just one or two houses or 3 or 4 houses or something like that. Larger companies can take more of a hit and still be okay. So, but yeah, that's in the long run. If they cannot make a profit that they are content with, they will stop building or slow down considerably. They're not going to lower the prices so that they're going to take, if it costs them money to build a house, they're not going to build a house. It's just, I mean, yes, prices for wood has come down, but everything else has gone up. I mean, have you checked to see how much one window costs? Oh, no. It's expensive. It's very expensive. Labor cost is through the roof. Insurance, they have to have insurance on all of those little vacant properties and all of the properties that just have a concrete. They still have to have insurance. In fact, they have construction insurance, which is way more expensive. So yeah, it's crazy. Thanks for the info. I just don't know the area enough. Rent. You're cool. I would definitely say go for a rental. Go ahead and put in an application. You can put an application on our houses. It doesn't even matter really what house. You can put an application on online and just be like, hey, I just want to put the application in. And normally you'll know within 24 hours if it's a complete application. If you didn't put in like hardly any information, yeah, no, it's going to take longer. Normal appreciation is about 5% a year. Prices were artificially increased. Yes, you are correct. Homes doubling is not normal, which is why the housing market is where it is. Yeah, we'll go with that. Do you think the market will crash? Not from what I'm seeing. If I could predict a market crash, I would be a multi-billionaire by now, because millionaires and billionaires are not made on an up market. They're made on a down market. I would be like, well, that is what I'm doing, is sucking away all of my agents. I told them for the last two years plus, they're just, selling houses whenever. I'm like, sock the money away. They're like, oh, I want to buy a house. No, now is not the time to buy. Now is the time to take all of that money that you're making and you're going to put it away, and you're going to put it away, and you're going to put it away. And if and when the house prices dip, that is when you're going to go ahead and take that money that you've saved and you're going to purchase houses. I don't know if any of them listen to me, but that's what I told them to do. So yeah, now there are deals coming on the market. There were no deals before. So if you wanted to flip a home or something like that, I have a deal right now on some houses that are coming up. They'll never be on the market. It's for their own personal reasons, and I can't get into it. Those deals will never go on the market. Excellent deals. So those kind of things are coming up, and they are coming available. Talk to a realtor if you want to get into like flips and stuff like that, because those deals are finally starting to hit the market. Small capacity of them, but they are hitting. We have not seen that in a couple of years. Every single awesome deal was just so incredibly sought after. It was like ridiculous, but we're starting to see it now. So for everybody that sucked their money away and they're like, okay, when the market shifts and it's more of a buyer's market, that's when I'm going to purchase this X, Y, and Z. That's what we're seeing right now. So for my husband and I, we're like, okay, pretty soon we'll be able to like look into these more houses. So that's cool. Goodness, yeah. You're not a loan officer. Thank you. No, I'm not. I don't want to be. But do you know of a silent second? I have a house in Ocala investment property that has a lot of equity, and I would like to use it to buy a second invest. So what you're looking for is a hard money lender, basically. Yes, I do have some that are hard money lenders. I can give you the phone numbers for them. Go ahead and send me an email. You got my email, I think. It's nice to see you on here. Go ahead and send me an email at GER. Hold on. Yeah, GER.ExpectMore@gmail.com. I forgot the wrong email address. But yeah, I can send you and just put hard money, and I'll send you over the contact information for lenders that I've talked to. They're not big, huge corporations or anything like that. They're just, smaller, but yeah, they do hard money. Keep in mind, the interest rate on that is higher because it is higher risk. So heads up. No home is affordable to the average person right now. That's not true. It's an affordability problem. YouTuber real estate mindset is a great source of information. Good to know. Thank you for sharing that. Remote workers from Cali and New York could afford these prices. $300K is cheap. Not to me. Okay. If they stop building, then wouldn't that mean layoffs? Yes. They hold the homes or fire sale. Right now, we're going through essentially a fire sale with the incentives that they're offering, $10,000, $15,000 in incentives plus lower prices. Plus, they'll negotiate just because the price is what they're stating. Obviously, with that paper I was just showing you, they are going lower than that, and that includes new construction. So negotiate your guts out. Get a realtor. Please get a realtor and have them negotiate their guts out for you. One of our realtors, she loves negotiating. I think she just got a Lennar home for like $60,000 under list price. I was like, crap. So just because it's the price they list does not mean it's the price they'll accept. Get yourself a realtor and be like, This is what I want. This is the price range I want. Let's do this. And they can go into new construction because they know the people, and they will, negotiate their guts out for you and, make it happen. If it's at all possible, they will do it. So, yeah, I would say, are you trying to do this on your own or are you using a realtor? I'm guessing Melly, you got stop building wouldn't that mean lights? Yeah, probably. Okay. I need 100K under. Okay. Let me know how that works out for you. I don't know. You have some, it looks like you've got some interesting ideas on doing this. And if it works for you, that's awesome. We'll go with that. I don't know of any one that's going to do $100,000 under ask. But, just because I haven't seen it doesn't mean it doesn't going to happen. Doesn't know. No harm in trying. That is definitely something that I've brought up. What would be a healthy down payment? A healthy down payment, especially if you're doing FHA, that's 3.5%. FHA is very, very common, very, very normal around here, 3.5%. If you're wanting to do more than that, let's say if you go over to D.R. Horton, for example, right now, you can negotiate down the price of the house, which you can get a house for under 300K. Let's say you negotiate down the price of the house, then you put, they're going to give you $10,000 towards your closing costs or down payment. So they're going to help you pay that. You're doing an FHA loan. So you come up with 3.5%, or you use that incentive. Plus, they're doing another $5,000. You use that $5,000 to pay down the points so that you have a lower interest rate. Because if you can get into like 5s or 6s, awesome. Awesome. That is a scenario that we are working with over and over again, day after day, right now. Literally right now. Now, is that the best deal you could possibly get? No, not necessarily. Because in a couple of years, maybe, possibly, the interest rate will go down and then you can go ahead and refinance and get it for maybe 3% or 4%, something like that. So do that option. What my great fear is that interest rates will continue to rise and go into the double digits. That means that the house you could have afforded today, you're not going to be able to afford. That is what freaks me and my husband out, because we're like, what if our kids are not ever going to be able to afford their own home? We are doing what we're doing now with our investment properties in order to make sure that they either have a home that they own or they have residual income coming in long after we're gone. So they can either choose to live in the home or they can rent it out and live somewhere else, wherever their heart's desire or whatever. But our fear is that they won't necessarily be able to purchase a home because interest rates will rise so much that they wouldn't be able to qualify for a loan for anything that would be reasonable to live in, because we're due for it. I'm sorry. We had crazy low interest rates for so long, and I cannot even fathom how many times I said, please purchase a house right now. Please purchase a house right now. And this was before all the craziness you do. For years, I was like, please, 2 to 3% for interest rates is ridiculously low. Even if you're not in love with the house, freaking get the house. And then the house prices skyrocketed. Had those people bought when I told them to buy at that low interest rate, they would have made well over $100,000. Doesn't matter what they bought. They would have made that. Most people didn't, because they're in the same exact situation that you're in right now, where they're like, I'm just not ready yet. Or what if this changes? Or what if I can get a bigger, better deal? Okay, don't do that. If you can purchase a home right now, please do so. Please do so. If the interest rates come down, awesome, refinance. But what happens? What is going to happen if it goes up? Just ponder that for a few minutes. If it goes again, because it has happened before, where the interest rates are in the double digits, What kind of house are you going to be able to afford? Are the house prices going to lower that much? No, the construction companies are going to stop building and you're going to have the option of resales. Well, the resale houses, if there's more people moving down here than we have houses available, which is what we would have because we need the new construction, we have a housing shortage. If that continues to happen, you're going to actually start seeing house prices go up because there's going to be more demand than we have supply. You see what I'm saying? So that's why I keep telling people, please, if you have any opportunity to purchase a house, please do so. It is basically you're just making sure that you have what you need, that you're not stuck in a rental. Because some of the people that went ahead and rented a few years ago instead of buying, they're now stuck. So, because the rental prices went crazy. You think it was just the sales prices. You should see the rental prices. Doubled, easily doubled like 2.5 times, actually, not just double. Like, it's crazy. So yeah, it was much. But yes, a healthy down payment, you can do 20%. Most people are not seeing that or doing that anymore. Like, I don't know why everybody keeps saying 20%. Nobody does 20%. Don't even think about it. A healthy, like a huge down payment that I see would be 10%. Because that's 3 times more than what is needed on an FHA or even conventional. Conventional loans don't need 20% in majority of the cases. If you have something odd in that, you might need to. Millie says interest rates will go up. It's something you and I both agree on. And then where are we going to be? If interest rates go up and of course, the construction will slow down, if not stop entirely, because it's happened before too. What is going to happen? We're still going to have a supply and demand issue because, again, no more houses being built means the houses that are on the market are going to rise, and then you have high interest rates as well. You're not going to be able to buy a house. Right now, it's a choice. At some point in the future, it might not be. So, And then, of course, if you don't have the choice and everybody's renting, guess what happens with rents? Yeah. So I would say if you are able at all to purchase a home right now, I would go ahead and do that. Okay. If you are just not sure of the area and you need to get to know the area, yes, I'm talking to you. That is perfectly fine. I would try maybe a shorter lease, maybe 7 months. I would try not to do even a year. I have no faith in what the interest rates are going to be doing next year. I thought by December, though, by the end of year, we would already be seeing double digits, and it's kind of slowed down at 7.5% on average right now. So I was wrong on that one. So I don't know. Take it all with a grain of salt, right? I did go ahead and write down what our numbers are. I'm sitting here. It's on the top page, and I'm looking through. All right. We had median current residential is 262,500. We had 159 active listings hit the market this week. It was a slow week, though, because it was only a half week. So heads up on that. Price increases 22. Price decreases 246. That's actually lower than what it's been. We've been in the 300s, so a lot of houses have been decreasing in price. So that was actually pretty low. Realtors were on break, I guess. Back on the market, 40. Sold 125. We did not have a lot of houses actually close this week because, again, holiday weekend and most of the title companies were closed Thursday, Friday, Saturday, Sunday. So how are you going to have closings? So that was only Monday, Tuesday, and Wednesday closings. So, and I know we had closings in here, so Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, but yeah, so it's lower numbers. So that means later in the week, we're going to have higher numbers. But as of today, the last 7 days, that's where we're at. Canceled. We had 30 cancellations in the last 7 days. Sellers are over it. Okay. There's just nope. Expired listings, 17. So that's 47 houses right there alone. Then we had another 14 that are temporarily off the market because of the holidays, probably. Withdrawn, we had another 3. So yeah, what is that? 50 houses came off the market. So we had 159 on and 50 off. plus we had closings, plus we had pending. So yeah, not an auspicious week in real estate. The average listing price for houses, 299,000, but the actual median sold price right now in Marion County is 262,500. Average national average interest rate for 30-year fixed, 7.532. So hopefully that was interesting. You guys are like, why all the numbers? I love the numbers. Interest rates and home prices are inversely related. Okay. Melly, I think you are spending way too much time reading into this. I mean, I'm a broker and I'm saying that. That's a lot, okay? I mean, I read into real estate and what's going on with the market literally every day. I look up stats and facts and stuff for kicks and giggles. So if I'm saying you're reading way more into it, my God, you could write a blog right now. When the rates continue to go up, wouldn't the logical choice be for homes to go down? That is what we're seeing right now. But again, they are competing with new construction, and new construction will only go down so far. If they do not make a profit and don't think they're going to make a profit, they will not have them on the market. Construction companies, especially larger ones like D.R. Horton, can turn entire subdivisions that they were going to have as sales, and they can turn them into rental subdivisions. That they have done that. I believe D.R. Horton for sure has done that, and I believe Lennar might have too. Anyway, but I know for sure D.R. Horton. So they will literally go, okay, well, we were going to make this subdivision houses for sale, but because the market right now, because it's so much more that we would be getting in rent, we're going to go ahead and this is a rental subdivision, and we're going to manage this subdivision. And down the road, when we can make more money because supply and demand has changed a little bit, then we'll go ahead and start selling them off one by one and make more money that way. So there's other things. You cannot rely on what they're going to do that they're just going to lower price and you're going to get like a fantastic deal. That might not necessarily be the case. Now, for a house that you can only purchase cash, like a fix and flip or whatever, you'll get some deals on those. But like new construction or houses that you're actually going to want to live in, like move-in ready houses, no, they're only going to go down so far, and then things will change again because they have to make a profit. They have people to pay. They have stockholders and brokers and all sorts of stuff that they've got to shareholders. There we go. That's the word. They've got shareholders. I've been watching the market daily. I can tell they will profit. They just won't have a super obnoxious amount of profit that they won't do it. So they can afford to go down, but that's where they're at right now. That's where they're at right now. If they quarter over quarter keep seeing that their profits are dropping, they will act accordingly. And they have to. They have to. There are a lot of things that they can do. And yes, it does influence the market when it's a huge corporation like Lennar or D.R. Horton, or I don't know, there's a whole bunch of them. Pulte, I think that's a major one. They're not really in our area too much, but yeah, they're out there. So, but yeah, they have a lot of influence on the market. And if one of them slows down construction, what do you think the others are going to do? Yeah, they're all just going to slow down. Instead of a gush of houses being built, it's going to be a trickle and then a drip. And they're going to do that. That's just what's going to happen. Adams. Adams, Reed Homes as well. Yeah, Adams, I never think of as big as some of the other ones, but it's probably just because they're not on my favorites. You know, that's so hard to say, but I really do love D.R. Horton. I love how they do business. I know in other areas, like some areas like Lennar is like absolutely amazing. I think the other one's no, that's not. There's another one, Luxar Homes. Some of them are like, oh, D.R. Horton's terrible or Pulte's. It just depends on the area and who's the project manager and all of that kind of stuff. In our area, D.R. Horton is fantastic. Lennar is good. We've had issues at times with the salespeople. But right now we've got an issue with the salesperson and some of the other ones. So I don't know. It just depends on the deal and the person and I don't know. People sometimes make things harder than they need to be. So many homes in Marion. I'm excited. Oh, Holiday Builder. Yeah, Holiday Builder for our area, they were really big and then they disappeared. Like disappeared completely. No office, no nothing. They were just gone. And now they're slowly trickling back in, but they're not as big as some of the other ones. But they do the spec homes outside of the subdivisions. D.R. Horton, for the most part, just does it inside their subdivisions. They have a few in Marion Oaks that are on their own separate lots. Last I knew, they had like 6 or 7 that were like that. I think Holiday does individual, spec homes. And what's the other one? Deltona? Deltona is down there too. Deltona was just in their own subdivision. They've got some houses outside of it too. So, whichever, whatever. That is definitely an option. I just don't think they have that as much here because they're really good here. I am not vouching for them in other areas. So if you're like in Miami or New York, you're like, no, they're terrible. I don't know those people that are doing it over there. I know the people here in town, the project managers and people that are responsible here, and they're a good build. But I will not vouch for anywhere else. I don't know those people. I don't know my customers that say they're happy with, what was built. I think Adam's home, it's more of the getting to the closing table, the process and stuff that I think we've struggled the most with. So I like it a lot more clear cut. Just, it's not complicated. Please don't make it complicated. Just this is, and that, I don't know, whatever. It's just me. I'm trying so hard not to bash anyone or anything like that. I don't want to do that. There are some really great companies here and there's some really great people here. There are also some that you'll never hear me say their names, okay? If I literally will not even say their name, then you should not be buying that house. If you say, how is such and such company? And I'm like, if you can't say something nice, there are a few companies you've never seen a video on our channel about. There are some companies that I will straight up tell you, I will not sell you one of their houses because I've seen it behind the drywall. Every single builder that I recommend, I have gone into their construction sites. I have talked to the supervisors. I have looked before the drywall went up and I've seen what issues, what builders have. If I am like, that is an awesome build, that was a good job right there, that's who I would recommend. That's who you're going to hear me talk about. And one of the best builders in our area by far is Custom Home Builder. They don't necessarily do too many spec homes. They do a few, but not too many. But it's Triple Crown Homes. Absolutely love Triple Crown. Huge shout out to them. They are a family company, smaller, local. They do an incredibly good job building a house. They go above and beyond when they're putting that house together. So absolutely cannot say enough for them. I love their houses. Does that mean that it's flawless going through a construction build with them? No, can't say that. There's still, hiccups and stuff once in a while. But the houses themselves, they incredibly good job. Incredible. And it's a fair price. What they sell is a fair price for a good house. And I mean, I knew of that company before I ever even sold a custom home because I saw the houses 10 years after they were built. And I'll walk in and I'll be like, this is a Triple Crown home because you can see how well the construction holds up and how beautiful a home is 10, 15, 20 years after they built it. So I can't say enough for them. I love Triple Crown homes. But again, that is a spec home, a custom home. Custom homes are going to be a little bit more expensive just because it's a custom home. You're getting a custom job. So yeah, I mean, it would be more expensive than a D.R. Horton, especially since D.R. Horton primarily goes in builds on their own subdivisions. So you've got a smaller lot. You've got, you might have amenities, you might have a pool or a clubhouse or something like that. But at the same time, you also have an HOA. Custom home, you build it on your own lot. So you're like, that's the spot right there for me. I'm going to go ahead and buy that lot. and then I'm going to have Triple Crown come in and build my house. That for me is the perfect scenario. Not everybody can do that. Not everybody can do that. So yeah, just depends. But yes, DR Horton I do like here quite a bit. Lennar is also very, very good. I'm kind of picky on my salespeople that I work with through them, but yes, Lennar is a good company as well. Have you heard of Jan and Sam? I just saw a home yesterday and I liked it. I also liked Bright Homes. I don't know Bright Homes. They came from Orlando and they are only building in Marion Oaks for now. I have not been inside their houses. I cannot say one way or another, but I will look into it just because any new builders, I'm like, ooh, really? Somebody from Orlando. That's interesting. So I'll check. But no, I have not. We've not sold in the entire company. We've not sold anything through Bright Homes. So I would check to see if it's the same builders over there or if they've got a whole new crew over here, because that might be a whole different house, whole different scenario. You might have the same floor plan, but how it's built here might not necessarily be how it's built over there. So that's the only thing I can say. It's nice. Okay. I'll take a look. Okay. I will absolutely take a look. From West Palm Beach to Ocala. Hello. West Palm Beach. Wow. It's expensive down there. I'm supposed to be going to Sarasota next week. My husband has a timeshare that's older than I am. And you heard that right. So we go down there. It's for 1 week every year. Normally it's the week after Thanksgiving for some unknown reason. He thought that was a great idea back in the day. And he didn't have kids then. It's been a while. Considering our son's in college and the other one's in high school, it's definitely been a minute. But anyway, so we go down. It's the way the weeks work out. It ends up, it's one of the old style timeshares, okay, where it's an actual, this is unit is your, it's not points or anything like it is an actual, here is your unit for this week. And somehow the weeks, the way they work out is different. We've done the math and it actually works out for a vacation for us way cheaper than going somewhere else. And you can tell because everybody's always trying to purchase the timeshare for my husband. If it's not a good timeshare, they don't want to buy it. But it actually has value. So it's just an itty bitty little apartment type condo situation on the beach in Lido Beach, which is like really expensive area. It's like this ancient timeshare down there. Just a little 2-story itty bitty one. They have a pool, a hot tub, and the beach. And that's pretty much it. And that's all we need. So we love it. We go down there. It's for an entire week. And it's cheaper than if we tried to even get a really cheap hotel down there for a week. So we go down there each year. We go. That's next week. We're going to be doing that. So actually, my Monday live will be from Sarasota next week. So you can kind of check out the ocean with me. Should be nice. But yeah, it is expensive in Sarasota. It is so expensive. It's expensive. I feel like they charge me to breathe down there. I don't know about you, but I don't know if you've been to, there's say Armin's Circle or something, right? It's walking distance to that. I'm not joking. It is expensive down there, but I mean, it's really good food and shopping and stuff, but it is expensive. Like, good grief. So I don't know. We go to, there's some restaurants that we go to every single year. It's weird because I can tell you exactly what the vacation is going to be. We go to the same restaurant, but we only go to it once a year. So, why not? Why wouldn't we go to the same ones? So, there's a Columbia restaurant there, which they have that 1905 salad, which I have mastered the art of making myself, but it's still better when they make it. I don't know why. But yeah, so we go down there. Should be going down there next week. It's exciting. It's exciting stuff. Okay, well, I don't see any more questions coming up. Do you guys have any more questions or comments for me? Or are you guys done with me for tonight? That's why we were planning to move on summer next year. I don't blame you. Yeah, West Palm Beach is expensive. It's very expensive. They charge you for air down there too. I swear, you just $5. So expensive. But yeah, it feels like that in Sarasota, but it's not. Sarasota is not one of the most expensive places to be, even We do like all of the art and we like visiting there. We love the ocean, love all of that, but I don't want to live there. My husband and I talked about it. We're like, when we retire, we could move to Sarasota. I'm like, I don't want to. I really like Ocala. I do want to go and do more traveling when we retire. Maybe do an RV or something like that. But I don't really want to live anywhere else. I'm very happy with where we are at. So we moved here, basically a place to raise our kids and stuff. And we did that. We have done that. So now, we're basically free to go anywhere, but we really like it. We just love it here. It's home. So I think we're just going to stay in Ocala. We like it. So why not? I came from Boca Raton to Ocala 9 years ago. Woo, you've seen some changes. Ocala is very different than it is now. Yep. I like the quiet, slow pace. And it's a little like South Florida. Yeah, a little bit. I think how South Florida used to be. I think. Do you want me to be done? No, it's not that. I normally only do like an hour, and we're at an hour and 45 minutes. So I'm like, okay, I'm probably gonna go ahead and YouTube's gonna be like, what on earth? I sometimes only even do like 35, 40 minutes. So we're a little over that. Hopefully it was interesting information for you guys tonight. Hopefully it was helpful. But yeah, so if you are a barber, we need more up here, definitely. My husband's like, you have to make an appointment for anything if you want to get in up here. So anyway, yeah. All right. Well, I am good for here. You're welcome. Oh, I'm so glad that I needed a local YouTuber. Well, I'm your local YouTuber. There we go. Technically, I am a realtor that does YouTube, though, not a YouTuber that dabbles in real estate. My first love, my only love, it's real estate. I just happen to share all of that out there. So you can check me out on, I do some Instagram, but it's basically just rehashed TikTok. I do a lot of TikTok. Don't hold it against me. But we do a lot of that. It's more entertainment on that than it is a lot of real estate. This is more of the educational, more of the informative kind of stuff is actually on this social media platform. So same thing for Facebook. There's a lot of articles and stuff I share on that because there's no way to really share articles on here very well unless you email me. Sometimes I will literally say I have a spreadsheet for you, or I have, this information or whatever, email me and I will get it over to you, such as home inspectors or anything like that. I just said, now I'm heading to TikTok. Okay, don't laugh horrifically at me. It's too bad. It was bad. On that, I'm Andrea of Ocala. So it is goofy on there though. So it's not the same kind of stuff. Oh, you gotta, work with the audience you got. All right, you guys have a great night. Thank you so much for joining me on these. I am going to continue doing my Monday night lives. I think that's working out for you guys and it's working out for me. So we will just continue doing that. Thank you for your support. I truly appreciate it. You guys have a great night. I will look that up, Melly. Have a good one.